The way you speak to yourself becomes the atmosphere you live in. Every single word that crosses your mind and slips through your lips holds the power to shape your reality, your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately your life. You may not always control what happens around you, but you hold immense power over the dialogue that happens within you. The world outside can be unpredictable, even harsh at times, but the conversation you have with yourself can be a sanctuary, a place where peace, hope, and encouragement are born. The words you say to yourself in private become the energy you carry into the world. When you call yourself strong, you feel stronger. When you declare yourself capable, your confidence rises. When you remind yourself of your resilience, you feel prepared to face the day's challenge. But when you allow negative words to fill your inner world, words like I can't, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, I'll never make it, you create a heavy fog that clouds your vision and dims your light. These words aren't just harmless thoughts. They are bricks you stack around yourself, building invisible walls that keep you from walking freely into your destiny. Every day, life hands us situations that test our patience, challenge our abilities, and sometimes shake our confidence. But the greatest challenge doesn't always come from the circumstances themselves. It often comes from how we talk to ourselves about them. When you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing you say to yourself? When you face a setback, what is the first thought that rushes to your mind? These moments matter. They set the tone for your entire day, sometimes your entire week. The truth is, you are constantly in conversation with yourself, whether you realize it or not. That conversation has the power to lift you up or tear you down. You are the one narrating your own story every day. You can write a story of defeat or a story of triumph, simply by choosing the words you use when you talk to yourself. Imagine standing before a child who has made a mistake. Would you harshly criticize them, telling them they'll never amount to anything? Or would you kneel down, look them in the eyes, and gently remind them that mistakes are part of learning, that they are loved, and that they can try again? Most people would choose kindness for the child. Yet, so often we deny ourselves that same compassion. Why? You are deserving of that same tenderness. You are worthy of the same encouragement you so easily offer to others. Speaking to yourself with love is not self-indulgent. It is necessary for growth, healing, and peace. For just 5 days, try shifting the language you use with yourself. Begin to notice when negative thoughts arise and gently replace them with words of affirmation and truth. Instead of saying, I am a failure, say, I am learning and I will grow from this. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, say, I am worthy and I am becoming stronger every day. These small shifts might feel unnatural at first, but they carry immense power. You are training your mind to build a new atmosphere, one where light can shine and possibilities can take root. Over time, these words will create a foundation that supports you in ways you may not even fully comprehend right now. The beauty of speaking kindly to yourself is that it doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. You don't have to believe every positive word at first, but as you consistently plant these seeds, they will begin to grow. The way you talk to yourself is like tending a garden. If you sow seeds of doubt, fear, and unworthiness, those will be the weeds that take over your mind. But if you consistently plant seeds of hope, courage, and love, your inner world will bloom with resilience, joy, and peace. And when your inner world flourishes, it reflects outwardly in every aspect of your life. The words you choose become the energy you radiate. They shape your interactions, your relationships, your work, and your dreams. You begin to attract opportunities aligned with the positive energy you're creating within yourself. The power is already in your hands, in your voice, in your thoughts. It is not about pretending that everything is perfect, but about choosing to create a nurturing environment inside yourself where healing, growth, and transformation are possible. You don't need another critic inside your mind. The world is already full of voices ready to point out your flaws, remind you of your shortcomings, and question your worth. But the one voice that echoes the loudest, the one that follows you everywhere you go, is your own. That is why it is so vital that this voice becomes your guide, your mentor, your cheerleader. For far too long, many people allowed their inner voice to become their harshest enemy, constantly judging, belittling, and questioning every move they make. This inner critic grows louder with each mistake, each failure, and each unmet expectation, leaving behind a trail of guilt, shame, and self-doubt. But what if, just for a moment, you silenced that critic and replaced it with the voice of compassion? What if you became your own life coach, someone who sees your potential even when you stumble, someone who speaks with encouragement rather than condemnation? For 5 days, commit to shifting this relationship with yourself. It is not about ignoring your flaws or pretending you have it all figured out. It is about choosing to approach yourself with the same kindness and support you would offer a dear friend. When you face a challenge, instead of saying, I always mess things up, say, this is hard, but I'm learning. I can handle this. When you fall short of a goal, resist the urge to label yourself as a failure. Instead, acknowledge your effort and remind yourself that growth takes time. Be patient with your own journey. Speak to yourself with a voice that believes in your ability to overcome, to adapt, to rise again. The words you use shape your resilience. They either drain your energy or fuel your determination. Think of the best coaches and mentors you've encountered or admired. They don't sugarcoat the truth, but they also don't tear down the people they guide. They provide honest feedback while uplifting and inspiring. They see beyond the immediate failure to the greater potential that lies within. That's the role you must play for yourself. Become that steady, compassionate voice that encourages progress and recognizes effort, even when outcomes fall short. The inner critic feeds on perfectionism, on unrealistic expectations that leave no room for human error. But the inner coach understands that every step, even the wobbly ones, move you forward. It teaches you to celebrate effort, to value persistence, and to honor the courage it takes to keep showing up. When you become your own coach, you begin to rewrite the narrative that plays in your head. Instead of a script filled with harsh judgments and impossible standards, you create one that acknowledges your humanity, embraces your imperfections, and believes in your capacity to grow. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It requires practice and intentionality. Every time you catch yourself falling into self-criticism, gently redirect your thoughts. Speak words that build you up. Say to yourself, I am proud of how far I've come. Whisper affirmations that remind you of your strength. I am capable. I am learning. I am resilient. The mind is powerful and it listens carefully to the words you repeat most often. Over time, these words form the beliefs that drive your actions. If your mind hears constant criticism, it begins to believe that you are unworthy, incapable, or undeserving of happiness. But when your mind hears consistent encouragement, it begins to believe that you can overcome challenges, that you have value, and that your dreams are within reach. Becoming your own coach means standing in your own corner even when things get tough. It means offering yourself grace when you stumble and determination when you feel like giving up. It means choosing progress over perfection, growth over guilt, and love over shame. This gentle but firm inner voice will not only transform how you see yourself, but it will also influence how you approach your relationships, your work, and your goals. Celebrate your wins out loud. Too often we move through life so quickly that we barely acknowledge the progress we've made. We brush past our successes, waiting for the next big milestone to feel validated. But every single step forward, no matter how small, deserves to be recognized. When you take a moment to honor your victories, you reinforce your own ability to grow, adapt, and overcome. That recognition fuels your motivation and builds a sense of self-trust that becomes unshakable over time. In a world that constantly pushes you to do more, be more, and achieve more, you must learn to pause and honor the progress that often goes unnoticed. The moment you got out of bed on a day when everything felt heavy, that was a victory. The conversation you had that took courage, even if your voice trembled, that was a victory. The decision to try again after a setback, to believe in yourself after disappointment, to choose hope when fear whispered louder, these are all victories worthy of your acknowledgement. There's a certain power in speaking your victories aloud. Saying the words makes them real, tangible. It anchors them into your memory and allows you to own your progress with confidence. When you declare, I showed up today, even though it was hard, you give yourself permission to be proud of your strength. You remind yourself that even on your hardest days, you are still capable of taking meaningful steps. This practice of celebrating small wins cultivates gratitude, and gratitude nurtures resilience. The more you recognize what you are doing right, the more you focus on your strengths rather than your shortcomings. Your energy shifts from frustration to empowerment. You stop waiting for perfection and instead embrace the beauty of progress. Society often teaches us that only grand achievements deserve celebration. Promotions, awards, major accomplishments. But personal growth doesn't always come in grand, sweeping moments. More often it comes in quiet, consistent acts of courage. Waking up and choosing to keep going when you feel defeated. Learning something new even when you're afraid of failing. setting boundaries to protect your peace, apologizing when you've made a mistake, forgiving yourself when you fall short. These small, intimate victories shape your character and strengthen your spirit. They are the building blocks of lasting transformation. When you celebrate your small wins, you train your brain to recognize success, to seek out moments of progress instead of fixating on what's lacking. This creates a positive feedback loop that fuels your motivation. You begin to approach challenges with greater confidence because you have a history of victories to draw from. You carry the proof that you've overcome hard things before and you can do it again. You become your own evidence that progress is always possible. Speaking your victories aloud also has the beautiful side effect of inspiring others. When you share your wins, no matter how small, you model self-compassion and resilience for those around you. You create a space where others feel safe to honor their own journeys, to embrace their own imperfections, and to celebrate their own growth. Replace "I can't" with "I am learning." Replace "this is too hard" with "this is growing me." The words you use frame your entire experience, shaping how you perceive challenges, how you respond to setbacks, and how you move forward through adversity. When you speak limitation into your life, you build invisible barriers around your potential. You begin to see obstacles where there could be opportunities. You shrink your world down to what feels safe and predictable, closing doors before you even knock. But when you choose to speak possibility, you expand your world. You allow new pathways to open. You give yourself permission to imagine, to dream, to try. You begin to view challenges not as dead ends, but as invitations to rise. There's a natural tendency to resort to limiting language because it feels safe. "I can't handle this. I'm not good enough. This is too much for me." These statements offer a kind of false comfort because they relieve you from the pressure of trying. If you convince yourself that something is impossible, you no longer have to face the discomfort of failure. But this comfort comes at a heavy cost. It robs you of growth. It deprives you of discovering your resilience. It keeps you trapped in a small version of yourself that doesn't honor your true capabilities. Growth lives outside of comfort, and the first step toward growth is speaking in a way that invites possibility rather than shutting it down. Every time you encounter difficulty, you have a choice. You can narrate the situation through the lens of limitation or through the lens of expansion. When you say "this is impossible," your mind accepts that declaration and ceases to search for solutions. But when you say "I don't know how yet, but I'm open to learning," your mind stays engaged. It remains curious. It stays creative. Speaking possibility keeps the door open for solutions, for growth, for surprising outcomes that you might never have anticipated. Your words create mental pathways. Limiting words shut those pathways down, while possibility-focused words carve new routes forward. The language of possibility is not about denying reality. It's not about pretending challenges aren't real or dismissing the difficulty of your circumstances. It's about choosing to believe that difficulty doesn't define your destiny. It's about affirming that struggle is not the end of your story, but part of your unfolding journey. When you face an overwhelming situation and declare, "this is growing me," you acknowledge the hardship while also affirming your capacity to grow stronger through it. You shift your focus from fear to resilience. You remind yourself that every challenge contains within it a lesson, an opportunity to develop qualities that will serve you for the rest of your life. The words you use also impact how others see you and how they interact with you. When you consistently speak possibility, you create an atmosphere of hope and encouragement around you. Others are drawn to that energy. You become someone who inspires confidence, someone who models perseverance. And in those moments when you feel like you're faltering, this atmosphere you've created helps lift you back up. Speaking possibility not only transforms your inner world, but also influences your outer relationships, your work, your leadership, and your legacy. Even in moments of uncertainty, possibility language gives you something powerful to hold on to: choice. You may not control every outcome, but you can always choose how you speak about it. That choice is where your power lives. When you say "I am open to growth," you invite learning. When you say "I am becoming stronger every day," you strengthen your resolve. When you say "I have overcome before and I will again," you activate your history of resilience. The practice of speaking possibility trains your mind to seek solutions, to remain hopeful, and to trust in your own unfolding journey. It shifts your identity from someone who feels powerless to someone who recognizes the creative force within. Begin each day by affirming your worth. Before the world has a chance to flood your mind with its opinions, its pressures, and its judgments, you must speak to yourself with deliberate love. You must set the tone for your day, not by accident but by design. Stand before the mirror, look into your own eyes and declare the truth that too often gets buried under the noise of daily life. You are worthy of joy. You are enough, exactly as you are, and you are becoming who you are meant to be. These aren't just hollow affirmations. They are powerful anchors that root you deeply in self-love and stability. When you speak these words, you are not ignoring your flaws or denying your struggles. You are choosing to honor your humanity and your journey. The morning is sacred. It is the first conversation you have with yourself before you engage with anyone else. If you don't fill yourself with loving, empowering words, you leave space for fear, comparison, and self-doubt to creep in. The world can be demanding, and some days it will try to convince you that you're falling short. But when you've already filled your cup with your own truth in the morning, you're fortified against those outside voices. You walk through your day with a steady confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you have already affirmed your intrinsic worth. The way you speak to yourself first thing in the morning sets the emotional temperature for your entire day. If you begin with thoughts of worry, fear, and inadequacy, those feelings often linger and shape your actions. But if you choose to start with love, hope, and gratitude, you create an emotional foundation of peace and strength. You become centered, grounded, and better equipped to handle whatever unfolds. This daily practice isn't about pretending that difficulties don't exist. It's about reminding yourself that no difficulty has the power to define who you are. There is something profoundly healing about speaking to yourself with love before anyone else speaks to you. You become your own advocate, your own source of strength. In that quiet moment, you reclaim authority over your self-image. You no longer wait for others to affirm you. You no longer hand over the power of your worth to external circumstances or opinions. You create an inner sanctuary where you are always safe, always valued, always enough. This practice empowers you to carry yourself with grace, even when life is messy, even when outcomes are uncertain, even when others fail to see your value. You carry your worth with you, unshaken. Over time, these morning declarations reshape your beliefs. They become part of your identity. You begin to believe what you repeatedly tell yourself. You no longer merely hope that you are worthy. You know it in your bones. You no longer question whether you deserve joy. You claim it as your birthright. And as you consistently anchor yourself in love each morning, you radiate that love outward, influencing your choices, your relationships, and the energy you bring into every room you enter.